to Off the Podium. I have Alexy Yeghikian with me today from Glendale, California. Alexy, welcome to Off the Podium.
Thank you for having me on your program, Tigran.
So tell me a little bit about your name and the history, and also your band, the Yeghikian, and why the name Yeghikian.
Okay, so my last name is Yeghikian because of my dad, obviously. Took his last name. And first name, my parents just liked the name. I have no idea why they named me that. Actually, my mom really liked the name. It's funny because they weren't raised in a Soviet country either. So it's very strange to have a Russian, / Slavic name.
Yeah.
So that's the story about my name. And the reason why I named the band Yeghikian. So it's kind of a long story that's going to go into naming the band. So a while ago, I used to have a rock band with my high school buddies. Long story short, we had it for a while. I broke up, and I started playing a lot of pop music with these different artists and stuff like that. So it had been a long time since I played rock music. I was like, wow, it would be nice to play some rock and roll, some good old rock and roll. And, I'd been yearning for it for a while. So I was at my buddy's wedding. And then afterwards, he decided to have an after party at his house after the wedding. So I saw a guy there that I hadn't seen in a long time. We started talking. Anyway, he was like, hey, have you heard of this band? No. Check them out. Have you heard of this band? No. Check them out. So I went home, checked it out, and that really inspired me. I'm like, holy cow. I listened to it, and I couldn't sleep at all. Like, I probably slept 3 hours that night. I couldn't sleep at all. The next day I woke up, I recorded a song at home, which is called The World is Spinning. I recorded the drums, bass, guitar, and all that stuff. It was just a demo. Whatever. Finished that, sang on it, whatever. Next day, wrote another tune. Next day, wrote another tune. Next day, and next day. 8 days in a row, I would write a tune. And then I just listened back. I was going to go for like a month, but I was like, forget about it. I showed my buddies. They're like, oh, it's cool. I like the tunes a lot. It's awesome. I'm like, oh, cool. Thanks so much. Just blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a band. And then I was at this bar with a couple of friends. I'm like, you know what should I name the band that I'm gonna have? Like, name it this. I'm like, no, name it that. No. I'm like, I'm just going to name it Yeghikian. My last name, Yeghikian.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, it's going to be hard to pronounce. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, oh, it's hard to pronounce. They'll learn how to pronounce it eventually. Went into an actual studio and recorded all the tunes that are on the album right now. Those are the same tunes I recorded day after day after that wedding that are on the record. And that's that. That's how the name got started.
And that was
the band got started with that name.
And that was 2014, right?
End of 2013 is when I wrote the tunes and stuff. I recorded everything, released everything in 2014. Yeah.
So there's another album coming up. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Second record's coming out. It's called The Essentials. It's going to be coming out this year. There's been a bunch of delays because of all this BS happening with, this illness and everything. But hopefully that'll pass soon enough and we'll be able to release it. This one's a really good one. This one's heavier than the last one.
And same instruments?
Same instrumentation, yeah, exactly. 2 guitars, bass, guitar, drum set, and vocals, yes.
How important are the lyrics in your music? A little bit about the lyrics, but also how do you put the piece together? How do you write a song? You start with the lyrics, you start with the music. How do you put it together?
How important are the lyrics? Your first question. Lyrics are important, It depends on the person. If you're talking about the songwriter, it depends on that person. If you're talking about the person listening, it depends on that person. Because, you've probably noticed this, listening to songs, and I'm sure you have a billion friends that have different tastes in music, but I'm sure you have friends who are more lyric people. They'll listen to it too, even if the music's not good at all, doesn't sound good. They'll love that tune because of the lyrics. They don't care about how the music sounds. So it depends on the person. For me, the way I write a tune, I don't write the lyrics first. I write the music first, and then after that, I write lyrics. And, lyrics are important, you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like depending on the tune, it doesn't have to be that important. I think maybe the rhythm of the way you're singing the lyrics might be just as important as the lyrics, you know what I mean? Because you could be talking about dog turds in your music. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's my take on it.
So, for those who don't know your music, how would you describe it in the genre? And recently, I've been reading a couple of books about various artists, and a couple of them were really not happy to talk about their particular genre. Are you happy to talk about the genre, and how would you explain your genre if you were to say it in words or describe it?
Yeah, no problem. I just say we play rock and roll music.
Uh-huh.
That's what we play. We've been labeled as a stoner metal band. We've been labeled as a hard rock band. Different labels. You know what I mean? Doom. I don't see it, but whatever. I just say we play rock and roll. That's it. Because all at the end of the day, it's all rock and roll.
If you were to pick 3 artists that really inspired you, it could be someone you listened to in 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You don't listen to it much, but it was sort of an inspirational figure. If you were to pick 3 or 4, maybe even 5, who would those artists be? It doesn't have to be in your genre. It could be classical music, it could be jazz, it could be Persian music, whatever it is.
Sure, yeah, no problem. Well, I listen to all kinds of music, so it's not just rock guys. I grew up listening to rock music and jazz music, so a big hero of mine is John Coltrane.
Mm.
That's one of my heroes. Guitar-wise, I grew up loving and idolizing Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is one of my heroes when it comes to guitars. That's a tough question, man. There's so many people. I guess my sisters, too. I wouldn't think that at the time, but because at the time the music they were listening to was like not the stuff I would listen to, but as I grew older, I was like, wow, this is pretty good music. So I'd say my sisters too. I don't know, man. That's a tough question. There's too many. Well, there's 4 for you right there.
An interesting story, a funny story, maybe something that agitated you in the moment, but it's funny to look back at on tour with an artist. Just a story that you might think back and laugh about, but it was an interesting thing at the moment.
Well, I'll tell you about a recent thing. So I recently performed in Saudi Arabia with this Persian pop singer, and so we arrived in Jeddah. So from Jeddah, we had to fly to this place called Al Ula, which is in the middle of the desert, and is where we were performing. This big, beautiful, mirrored building in the middle of the desert. You wouldn't even expect it. It's crazy. Anyway, so we get to Jeddah. It's about 40 people because there's like, I think, 8 different artists on that same concert. So it's like 40 musicians, I don't know, sound people, this and that. So we get on that bus they got for us. It's basically like a tour bus that fits that many people. We go to the other airport to go to Al Ula. It was a private airport for private jets and stuff like that. So everyone's going, and then they say you 4 got to stay. And when they say you 4, it was the band me included, the band I was playing with. We're like, why? We want to go, this, that, blah, blah. Like, sorry, there's no more room on the thing. On the airplane, we apologize, this, that. We have a nice hotel for you guys here. You guys come tomorrow. We're like, dude, we really want to go with all you guys. We don't want to stay here. We don't know what's, it's just an annoyance. We're tired and all that stuff. We're like, sorry, you guys got to stay. We're like, all right, whatever. We're all pissed off about it, bitching, whatever. We get to our hotel. It's cool. Eventually, we ended up staying there for 3 days at that hotel. And in that 3 days, the first day, I'd get a message from a couple of my buddies who were playing in the other groups saying, dude, it's so horrible here. It's dusty. They say you got to eat at certain times. There's nothing to do out here. The internet sucks and stuff, blah, blah. And I'm like in my hotel room, nice, getting food. It's all nice. The rooms are nice, enjoying my time. So at the end of the day, we didn't get the short end of the stick, so I was happy about that.
That's awesome.
Eventually, we ended up going there, staying in that same compound they were staying at for probably like a day, and then we played the concert the next day and came back home.
Yeah. So actually, going back, this is because you have a record coming up, and I'm assuming this is self-released, right? You're doing it yourself.
It's released through Sonica Records.
Okay. I don't know that particular producer record company, but I've been reading about Frank Zappa and his it's a really interesting book, and he talks a lot about how he's he wasn't happy with various producers that he worked with. He wasn't happy with various record companies. Would you ever want to be associated with a record company or a producer that had a say in what you have to produce? Are you able to do that, or are you happy with your current situation?
I'm happy with the current situation right now. No, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to have, the record label people tell me, you got to change your music, do this or do that, because what's the point? And honestly, it's a lot different today than it was back when people were actually buying physical copies of records, So I guess the record companies back then had more say because, they wanted to get the big bucks because they're selling physical copies and things like of that nature. But nowadays, people are self-releasing their music. I think it works out better for the artist in terms of creativity and being able to do what you want. While also, there's some labels who could do stuff for the artist, promotion-wise, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But we're pretty happy in our current situation right now, to answer your question.
I want to go back on I don't get to talk to people about other things other than music. So I was so happy that I was so happy that you said that you wanted to talk a little bit about soccer and your other passion. So the big question now, why not watch the MLS and watch the English Premier League?
Oh, I do, but it's canceled right now. Everything's postponed. Yeah. There's no soccer going on, which sucks because every week I'd be looking forward to watching a game, even if it wasn't my team. Yeah, I'd just be looking forward to watching a game. I watch both. I mean, LA Galaxy is a team I support because I'm from LA, and Liverpool's another team I support too from England. Yeah, so
LA also has another team now.
LAFC, that's right, a rival team. Yeah, they haven't been doing too bad.
So you're actually active. You play a lot of soccer. I've seen some pictures. You play a lot of soccer too.
I played after before all this coronavirus stuff business happened. Yeah, I played at least once a week, every Tuesday morning. Mm-hmm. Play at this recreation center in Glassell Park. Get a few people playing. It would be a nice game. It was a small field on turf, so we played 5-on-5 games, and that was cool. It would be like first team to get 2 goals in 7 minutes stays in. The other team leaves, so we could get another team in, so the other players could play. Or in 7 minutes, if it's a tie game, you do penalties. So again, so one team could get out, another team could come back in.
So if you weren't a professional musician, you'd be a soccer player.
100%. If I had, obviously I don't have those kind of skills. If I did, I'd be a professional soccer player by now. But I would totally be a professional soccer player if I could. Definitely if I could. Yeah.
You had an interview with another magazine, I think, and I read it recently. And you said that you grew up in Glendale. Is that right? And you still live in Glendale?
I grew up in Glendale, yeah. I was born in Hollywood, raised in Glendale, the beautiful Jewel City.
It's changed a lot, I'm assuming, for you especially since you grew up there.
Big time.
And now, if we're being honest, what would you say? A lot of positive things, or both positive and negative changes? What would you say?
That's positive and negative, I guess. But I'd say it's like way more positive than negative. When I was a kid, there was like no people on the streets in terms of cars. I mean, there are cars, but it's not like how it is today. Especially in like the downtown Glendale area, where like they have the Americana and the mall and stuff like that. There's a lot more traffic now, but again, there's a lot more business there. Shops, restaurants, bars especially. There's quite a few bars on that strip on Brand Boulevard opened, in the recent years. So I think it's cool. People are spending money in my city. Economy is getting better here because of it. The only thing that sucks is rent is pretty high here. Yeah. I understand why, because it's a nice place to live. Mm-hmm. but some of it's been really ridiculous. So one day I'd like to run for mayor of Glendale. Not anytime soon. Hopefully in the distant future it'll happen. I could win, maybe change a few things.
So what would it be? Since you talked about change, what would you like to see that's not happening in Glendale now? Just a couple of things off the top of your head.
Corrupt politicians.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, that's everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a difficult thing because you try to stop corrupt people like that. It takes a long time to figure out what you need to do, and since most of them are corrupt, you're the last man there. And, you know, they able to either sway you or do something like keep those people in the you know, their positions. Other than that, I mean, let's see how the rent situation goes in the future, because again, I ain't going to be running for mayor anytime soon. Other than that, you know, maybe have some sort of law about littering on the street. I don't want to see people litter on my street.
That is
in my street or in my city.
That is just terrible. I mean, you know what upsets me is adults who do that. I mean, if I see someone who's 12 or 13, to a certain extent, I still understand, and not understand, but at least I'm like, okay, maybe they have some growing up to do. But when I see adults do this, I get furious. I mean, it's ridiculous that someone who's 18, 20, 30 years old could throw stuff out on the streets. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, you live in that city. Even if you don't live in that city, you live in that world. It's upsetting.
That's why a lot of these places in LA are shitty, because the people don't care. You know what I mean? They don't care about where they live, so it's like a cycle. It just keeps staying shittier and shittier and shittier. So,
since we talked a little bit about your youth there, I want to talk about CalArts. How you got to CalArts, and I read that you left CalArts after about a couple of years of studies. Why did you leave, and do you have any regrets?
How I got into CalArts. So right out of high school, I wanted to either be an electrical engineer or just continue with music and study music. So I chose music. So, you know, I applied to the whole thing and sent in my application to CalArts. And then, you know, at the time I was talking to my brother-in-law's brother, who went to CalArts and graduated at that time. He was like, yeah, you know, if you get a small letter in the mail, that means you didn't get accepted, like a regular size letter. But if you get like a package, you know, in the mail, that means you got accepted. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get the small letter, small envelope, which is what I meant to say. Open it up, says, you know, we regret to inform you that you didn't get accepted and stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, okay, bummer. I was thinking maybe they changed it that year or something, but no. It's the same small envelope. I went to my brother-in-law's brother. I'm like, hey, I got the small envelope. He's like, yeah, it's cool, man. Just like call the dean's office and just see what you did wrong, and you know, maybe they could help out, and you could apply again next year. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I called the dean's office at CalArts, and I was like, hey, my name is Alexy Yeghikian. I just got this letter, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like to speak to the dean, please. He's like, oh, what's this regarding? So I just want to ask what I did wrong to see, you know, if I could apply again next year and do better. So, okay, no problem. We'll call you back in like an hour. So the lady at the office calls me back in an hour. She's like, yeah, this is Alexy Yeghikian. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, we made a mistake. You were supposed to be accepted. So your letter's already in the mail. I'm like, are you joking? She's like, no. She's like, we made a mistake. We already sent out the letter a day ago. I'm like, no way. I was like, yeah, wait. I'm like, okay. I couldn't believe it. So I called the next day and asked if I was really accepted. She started laughing. She's like, yeah, you're accepted. So I went to CalArts, studied music there, guitar performance. Went there for 4 years, and that was that. For me, it wasn't worth the money. It was pretty expensive. I mean, I learned a lot there too. Don't get me wrong. We had some fantastic teachers, and we had some dopey teachers too. Because it's like kind of some of the teachers are like kind of hippie-ish, you know. I grew up in that old 60s era. Was it worth it? Friendship-wise and some opportunity I gotten? Yes. In terms of the money, no, definitely not worth it for me. I feel like I was just paying for the name. It's a good school, you know what I mean?
It is.
I'll tell you this. Guitar technique-wise, I learned way more outside of school from my friends peers than I did in school, and I mean way more. Also, I think I was a young kid at that time. I was 18 when I went to that school, so I had a different mindset too. So that's factor that in. There's your answer right there. To those questions.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you kind of gave advice to young musicians with your answer, because what I loved is that you didn't say, oh, forget it, I'm not even gonna make the call. You actually went for it. You said, hey, you know what? Yeah, I have nothing to lose. I'm just gonna call, and that's such a great thing for young musicians to remember, is that to never give up. And if you feel like you deserve something, or if you feel like you should have maybe had an opportunity you didn't get, it's okay to be rejected, but it's always important to go back and learn from that mistake, or maybe it's a mistake, maybe it's not a mistake. Just learn from the experience, call people, ask them questions, and be involved. Just never give up on stuff. That's very important for young musicians to know.
I totally agree, Tigran. I totally agree. And it doesn't hurt to ask. Because worst comes to worst, you're in the same spot,
Yeah. And I was going to say, anything else you want to add to young musicians? I work with a lot of youth orchestras, so it's I always try to find a lesson in everything. Any other advice to young musicians?
Yeah, just practice. That's all. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Otherwise, it's like the whole cliche answer to, everyone says, like, never give up, do this, that. Don't let people tell you this, that. I mean, they've heard it in movies. They've heard people say it and stuff. Just practice. That's all I gotta say. Just practice, and you'll go where the wind takes you.
One thing with this situation, the current situation, it's really tough. And with the adult professional orchestras that I work with, obviously there's not much we could do. But with the youth orchestras that I work with, I send them various little assignments. And this last assignment I sent them was tell me one artist, any genre, or two, any genre that I should listen to, and tell me the reason I should listen to it. Well, I have the same question for you. Tell me a couple of artists, or tell us a couple of artists that we might not know, but you respect the artist, you love the music. Some people that we don't know, so not the popular ones, maybe.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, there's a band called Khruangbin. Okay, it's a weird spelling. It's actually a Thai word for airplane. It's spelled Khruangbin. Khruangbin. It's a 3-piece band from Houston, Texas. So there's this lady playing bass in the group, and 2 guys playing, one playing guitar and one playing drums. And they play this, like, I don't know how to describe their music. It's kind of like, some of it's funky, some of it's like, sounds like old 60s, 70s Thai funk, R&B. It's a great group, fantastic group, great musicians, and great music. That's one group. I love them because their music's just nice to listen to, just to relax to. You don't have to, you could be listening to it when you're cleaning, you just be laying in your bed listening to it, whatever. That's one group I really enjoy. I don't know, there's so many groups. I have this thing that I was doing, and I'm going to start doing it. It was called Flight Time Radio, and it was this. I'd be doing this DJ set where I play songs that I thought were cool, all genres, all kinds of music. It could be heavy metal, it could be funk, it could be 70s Armenian rock band, it could be hip hop, whatever, jazz. And I think I'm going to start doing that again. But Khruangbin is one of the bands I really enjoy nowadays. There's so much stuff I listen to, Tigran. It's too much. Too much music, excuse me.
So you mentioned Armenia. Tell me a little bit about your background, maybe about your parents a little bit, and where they grew up and how they got there. Because every Armenian, in some ways, well, not me. I feel like my story is a little bit, at least the people I grew up around. I was born in Yerevan, Armenia. My parents were born there. We came to the States when I was 11. But with you, you must have an interesting story where your parents grew up and where they lived and how they got here.
Yeah. So my ethnic background is Armenian. I'm Armenian. My folks are both Armenian. They grew up in Iran, lived there nice, everything was fine. Revolution happened, they moved to Germany, lived there for a bit, and then they came to my mom was pregnant with me when they were coming to the States, and I was just born in the States. And I'm an Armenian American.
My my grandfather's my mom's father was born in Iran, and he went to Soviet Armenia. So I have that little connection with Iran. And
yeah, they did that a lot back then. They want Armenians from all over the world. Whether they lived in Iran or Beirut or Syria, Lebanon or Syria, to come back to the fatherland.
Of course.
They'd say stories. They'd tell them stories about, it's all good, everything's going to be fine. No, there's this and that, and then people like your grandpa would go there and realize it wasn't everything they were telling him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the Soviet Union. So there's that story. A lot of people don't know about that. The government want Armenians from all over the world to come back to the fatherland. And when they got there, it wasn't what they expected it to be. You know what I mean?
What's next? Do you have a record coming up? What else is next that you want to share? You want to talk about? Anything that we missed?
I've been playing chess a lot.
Wow. Okay. And Armenia, and actually Armenia is a country that has a long tradition, long history with chess. In 1960 or 63, Tigran Petrosyan won the world championship, and that was a big deal. And now we have a couple of big stars, including Tigran Arakelyan, and then we have an Armenian American, Samuel Sevyan, who's a young kid, Armenian American. He's doing well. It's great. Yeah, chess is fun.
I haven't heard of him. Obviously Tigran Arakelyan. I know him. All those other people. I never heard of this kid you're talking about. Yeah, dude, Armenians are pretty good at chess. They're pretty good. They're good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of my my ethnic background, and I'm also proud to be an American. So
yeah,
either way, I'm happy. I got best of both worlds.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it looks like a nice day out there. I mean, I see some sun, or maybe it's just the lighting, but it seems like a nice day.
It's from the window. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Wow, I do miss LA. I grew up there. I miss it. Hopefully everything will go back to normal, and I'll be back there on June 8th because I'm coming back for a couple of weeks. So hopefully you'll
come back.
I'll be back only for a little while, just for a couple of concerts and just to see family. But
that's fine. What about you? What are you up to nowadays?
I conduct a couple of different orchestras I work with in Washington, and I do some work in California with some orchestras there. So just staying busy. We talked about soccer, and you asked me what I do other than conducting a lot and spending time.
Yeah.
Spending time with my 7-month-old baby. I watch.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I watch MLS whenever the Sounders are on. I watch the Sounders.
Of course. I know that. I know.
I almost missed this. I got a message on Instagram for a question for you. Someone asked, "Has your music been in a cartoon?"
Yes, it was on a cartoon series called American Dad.
Okay, cool.
They used one of our songs in an episode. I think the episode's called LGB Steve, and the song was called Until the End that they used. They used it in the opening sequence when they're in the roller rink and at the end of the cartoon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I have a question. That when I was watching your video, one of your official videos online, there was a homeless man in one of them. Who is that person? Because I have a feeling.
Do you recognize that guy?
Is that Kupka?
That's Mr. Kupka. Yeah. Man.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. Okay, going back to one of your questions now. Mr. Kupka, Craig Kupka, used to teach at Hoover High School, Hoover High School, where I went to school. He is one of my heroes. If there is like top 2, top 3 heroes when it comes to music, he is one of my heroes. The best music teacher I've ever had. Coolest guy in the world. Best guy to have if you're a young musician. Hands down. But anyway, to answer your question, yeah, that's Mr. Kupka. And that guy's still doing his thing. He plays with a big band ensemble. I used to have a band called Pancho and Sancho, and he was one of the horn players in that band with his son Colin Kupka. Colin would play saxophone. Mr. Kupka would play trombone. Yeah.
So I went to Clark Magnet High School, but Hoover High School had an after-school orchestra, a combined orchestra with various schools, including Clark Magnet kids. And I played, and that's how I know Kupka. And Colin used to sit right next to me when we played. So.
No way.
So it was awesome. And I actually had Pancho and Sancho pulled up on my other computer. But what happened to Pancho and Sancho?
It just dissolved, man. Me and my buddy Orbel were the ones who started that group, and I guess we just got busy with other things and had other things going on. So maybe one day we'll do like a reunion show. Who knows?
That'll be cool. Well, thanks a lot, Alexy. This is great, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on your program, man. This was a lot of fun. It was a real treat.
Yeah, it'll be out in the next few days or so, and I'll send you a link.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Take care.
You too, man. Stay healthy. Take care.